Arabic. Is that going to be in Arabic or English?
No, this is for English.
For English.
Newsnight. It's on Channel 2.
Okay. Yeah, I've been here many times. Actually, I also helped produce a documentary about Palestinian electronic music called Raving in Palestine.
Okay.
Yeah.
But the one that wasn't with Jess Kelly, was it?
It was with Sebastian.
Okay, I don't know.
Yeah, he was and then Egyptian director. I completely forgot her name now. But yeah.
Okay. So I was just thinking that today we will talk about the Freedom Theatre. I guess, did you find out, was it actually a bombing on the theatre, or was it like, I've seen the bulldozers have been pulling up the road.
I think both. They have both. The footage I have seen is the bulldozer, but the news that we received that they also was a drone bomb, fire drone bomb they call it, that dropped just outside the theatre on the space where, we have a cafe also in the theatre where people hang out in the break time. So this is what's literally bombed. They're saying there was a group of family who's trying to flee the camp, and there was one of the main alternative, not main entrance of the camp, is through the Freedom Theatre actually. Because the Freedom Theatre building architecture, it was built during the British Mandate, and it's have a completely different architecture from the whole building inside the camp. It used to be used for a jail, so it's a big sort of warehouse. Yeah, and behind there's an exit, walk exit, so people can exit outside of the camp. So families were trying to leave, and they have a sort of like what you call it, like to shadow the sun. They're gathering outside the theatre. Yeah. So they thought there was fighter there or something, and they bombed the area. But we can't really now. There's no internet. There's no.
I mean, I guess we'll speak about it upstairs as well. But the theatre presumably was aimed at young people as well.
Yeah.
And I guess when we look at the militias that have come about in the past few years, like Lion's Den and those groups, I guess it's also that's a sign of like. It's come out of youth discontent as well. So, in some ways, would you feel that how would you talk about the theatre in relation to kind of youth discontent?
It's in the middle of it. It's completely in the middle of it. So, the history of the Freedom Theatre goes back to the 80s, which was the Stone Theatre, and. The Stone Theatre was built by Arna Merkhamis, who was the lead of the Jewish group who came to Palestine in '48, called the Balmach and the Haganah. They're a very famous Jewish group who were fighting against the Nazis in Europe and Eastern Europe. And then she was responsible of kicking Palestinian Bedouin and Palestinian villagers from their home in 1948, and then she felt bad about it later on, and then she came to work with the kids, and she established something called the Children's House, and then later on became the Stones Intifada, which is the Stones Theatre, which is related to the Stones Intifada, which is the first Intifada. That's how Palestinian local call it. And she was working a lot on anger, anxiety, and post-traumatic stress disorder, and all of this. So it was like sort of treating, because they have no school that time, all the time. Even in my time, in the second Intifada, there was no school. So yeah, that was sort of an alternative space, educational space, that offer youth a space, a place for them to come and think and reflect and study something new, and also create. And then she really received an alternative Nobel Prize because of her work. And her son Giuliano Merkhamis, who came with her, who filmed the whole process and came out with the documentary on the children, which I sent it to you. Then he took the space and make it a theatre. and that was the first theater production play to be produced was in the 80s, called the Small Candle by Ghassan Kanafani, a Palestinian playwright. And all that group become the fighter of the second Intifada. Okay, so now we are sort of talking almost similar situation. Yeah.
I think when we do the interview upstairs, because the report is just three or four minutes, sadly, and we have to fit in today's events. We probably won't be able to get into the history of freedom theatre, sadly, as much as it clearly
No, it's fine. I completely understand.
We'll talk, but if you could describe what it's like to be a young person in jenin, what's the attraction of militia like that?
I wouldn't call them militia. We call them a freedom fighter. They're like they have the right to resist. It's like weirdly that in the international media is often reflect for Palestinian as as terrorists or as a militia. But for us, we've been there, we've been living there, we've all been born there. We've been under attack since 1948 and even before. And we strongly believe that every single one have the right to resist in any way they want. We are completely not militarized. If you want to compare the military that Israel have, which is supported by the US and the British, and the Palestinian have, it's actually they stole it from the Israeli army. That's their military, the Palestinian fighter, okay, which is made in America and here in Britain. So this is for me a definition of terror, of making weapon and all of this and export it for free to Israel, to invade a half-kilometer fully populated with families and kids in jenin camp. So this is for me a militia. This is the other way around, And also I don't have to defend myself really. So for me, for young people who are living there, they never have the chance to live. Or to even know what means freedom. So what we're calling for here, we're calling for equal right of freedom of expression, freedom of movement. We also open for conversation. As I'm talking to you now, I'm open to hear you saying militia about my own people who are actually being victim. And we're trying to sort of elaborate on this and sort of try to put the Palestinian content on the right discussion. I think people who are there, they're frustrated, they're locked, they're loud, they're dealing with military occupation. They're not allowed to leave their home sometimes, they're not allowed to leave their city. I truly believe and strongly believe maybe all of those young people that we're talking about, they have never left the camp. And they have never exposed or experienced freedom of movement, freedom of travel. On the other hand, the Israelis are welcome to travel anywhere they want. They're even not allowed to travel in their own homeland, in Palestine, So this is where this comes from. Also, that those young people that we're seeing now, they're being murdered by the Israelis, they are the sons and daughters of murderers who've been killed by the Israelis in the second Intifada. So we're not like talking about a new history here. It's all linked, it's all connected, definitely.
To a couple of other things I'll ask you upstairs. So one of them is, the Israeli foreign minister came out into the statement today saying that he said, we don't have a war with the Palestinian people. Our war is with groups that are funded by Iran, and this is they are proxies for Iran, and this is a regional conflict. To what extent would you say, what was your response be to him?
I think those people have no high skills of communication. They have no, they never have left, so how they will have a communication? They're angry, they just want to fight back, They have no choices. They have zero choice to do anything that you could possibly think about, As simple as like going to the beach, They don't have that choice, which is just only 35-minute drive. So of course the Israeli Prime Minister gonna say, they're gonna link that to Iran and gonna put it in a wider lens. But those young people, I know them, I grew up with them, they're my friend, they're my family. Okay, they're not being dropped on a parachute, they're not trained. You know, they just fighting. They have that in impulse as a reaction. It's not an action. That's a reaction.
Have you personally, in friends of family, have you lost anyone in the Second Intifada? Or?
I have so many friends and family who were killed in front of my eyes in the Second Intifada. Me myself, I got shot in the Second Intifada. Every single one is targeted. That's not true that the Israeli is only targeting a small group. Every single one in the camp is targeted. I have been trying to get hold of my family since last night, till now I can't. Well, my mom is now Iranian suddenly. That's impossible. This is like, it's suddenly just, you know, like, it's weird that how, you know, that we always, you know, on content with the Israeli Prime Minister, what they say. They are obviously militarized group. I think I see it the other way around. I see Iran in the Middle East is Israel, not Iran. I mean, I have in Palestine, I've never seen Iran interfere with the Palestinian life, okay? But I see the Israeli, who funded by the British and by the American, interfering with every single aspect and view of our life, controlling our emotion even, our time, everything.
Thanks, Mo'min. I think I guess to probably ask a question as well, finally about like the current Israeli government, and you know, like why now? Why has this raid happened? Why has this raid happened today? You know, so
yeah, they are extremists. They are extremist terrorist group inside Israel, militarized. Every single one in Israel are militarized. They give them the gun for free. You know, it's a call on government. They're asking young people above 18 or 16 to come and take a gun for free in the West Bank.
Yeah.
And people now, they're even afraid to go to work in the next town because they will, you know, encounter a young Israeli terrorist who will come and shoot at them. You know, a 16, 17 year. Why we call Palestinian groups, fighter group, militia, and not calling the settlers who are completely militarized, not militia and terrorists. So that's question I think the British society and community and politicians have to think about it, and also news, how to address situation in other places that they have no lived experience in, you know.
We're a little bit tight on time now, so if Matteo is happy, unless Matteo, do you want to do anything else?
I'm happy. We can chat afterwards and do some bits, pick-ups. But yeah, thanks so much for your time.
No, of course. I'm very sorry. They said if you gave us 24 hours notice, we could have got the paperwork.
Yeah.
But
nobody knew.
Nobody knew until today. So, are you happy? Are you happy? We'll go in.
Yeah, let's go.
Just follow you to the door.
Yeah, sure.
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
No, that's fine.
No, I was just saying I've been trying to reach a few people on the ground in Jenin.
It's impossible.
I could speak to people
only
in Jenin,
journalists,
not
maybe.
In the refugee camp.
Yeah, not inside. No. Me too. I mean, my best friend's family right now is being used as shelter, as a civilian shelter by the Israeli army. So they're using them as a shelter. You know, my best friend's family in the camp, their home being used as a shelter by the Israeli army. So I was trying to reach them since the morning.